welcome to another episode of Incoming, the weekly video podcast in which I take a look back at my favourite historical miniature releases from the past 7 days. This is episode 18, which looks back at the miniature releases for a week ending the 18th of September 2009, and I'm Neil Shook. It's been a very busy week for historical miniature releases this week, with a lot of high quality stuff around. Lots of competition for the top 10 this week. And this is in evidence by what's actually at number 10, which is one of a set of new releases from Crusader this week. These are Lusitania Hoplites, and they've released 3 different packs. They've released unarmoured hoplites, armoured hoplites, and a command pack. Now these are nice enough sculpts, and it's good to see that they have a separate head system for a bit of variety. That said, the actual poses themselves are pretty uninspiring, to be honest. Although I suppose that's one hazard of having those hoplites. You know, the rank and file will only have one of 2 or 3 poses. But even so, a nice release, I think, from Crusader. And they have done other stuff this week which hasn't even appeared in my top 10. At number 9, well, we've seen previews of these figures for a few weeks, but they're finally becoming available. And these are the plastic German cavalry from Wargames factory. I think I might have featured these in an earlier show, but as I say, they are now available, and they look to be a nice set of minis. Decent looking horses, and a good set of sculpts as far as riders are concerned. Looking forward to seeing all of these. Number 8, we have the first of a couple of new releases this week from Warlord Games Pike and Shot range. That's their range of 28mm English Civil War figures, and this pack in particular is the command group, and it features an officer, a sergeant, a drummer, and a standard bearer. Some very nice sculpts amongst this group. I particularly like the sergeant and the drummer, and I've actually got this pack in the metal as well, so I'll be giving a more detailed review of this pack in a future video podcast. Not overly convinced with the banner on the ensign. It just doesn't quite look right, I don't think, but a nice enough pack otherwise. At number 7, we have the first of 3 new releases this week from First Corps, and these are mounted knights from their medieval range. Now, I'm always a bit of a sucker for knights, and so when I originally saw these, they were actually much higher than they are now. As I just saw them as unit of mounted knights, these look really nice. What you actually got here are a selection of 6 packs. You've got 3 packs of knights on unbodied horses, and then 3 packs of knights on bodied horses. However, if you look closely, you'll see that whilst there are 6 packs of figures here, there are only actually 15 different models. There are 9 riders, which are common across the 6 packs, and the 3 bodied horses and the 3 unbodied horses are actually the same in their respective packs. And whilst the horses themselves are pretty nice sculpts, I'm disappointed that they haven't put more variety into the actual sculpting. You only have to look at some of the successor cavalry and companion cavalry that First Corps have released over the last few weeks to see that, they do have a good selection of dynamic horse poses that they can use. So it's a bit disappointing to see these in such a high profile set as Medieval Knights. Number 6, we have the second Pike and Shot entry for this week. This is their Fire and Brimstone pack, which relates to some characters that they've produced for their range, which I suppose highlights one of the issues of the English Civil War, whereas it was actually divided along religious lines where we ended up having Catholics fighting Protestants. And this pack kind of reminds us of this. Some nice characterisations here. I think my particular favourite happens to be this one, which is the preacher. He's kind of very reminiscent of the Pilgrim's Father, or a character out of Pilgrim's Progress or something like that. Very archetypal dress for this particular figure, and I just find that quite striking. Into the top 5, and it's back to Ancients and back to a company I've featured several times in recent shows, and that's Gorgon Studios. Steve Seller at Gorgon has been releasing a range of attritions, and this is one of the next figures to be available. This is an attrition officer. Rather unusually, the figure's on with an axe rather than a sword, and whilst the pose isn't particularly dynamic, I think it's very workmanlike, and actually looks good for its understated nature rather than having a completely dynamic character. So I quite like this. Number 4, and it's back to First Corps, and it's back to their medieval range, as well as releasing new knights for this range this week. They've also released some new infantry, and here we have the full selection of what they've released. Includes artillery, crossbowmen, handgunners, command packs, and men-at-arms with polearms. A very nice selection of figures amongst these packs, although again, as you can see, as you look through the packs, you can see where dollies have been reused with slightly different gear, different headgear, that sort of thing. But I think overall the packs give a wonderful flavour of the period. And I think they're some of the best medieval infantry I've seen in recent times. I'm quite impressed with these. And now into the top three, and these is a set of three figures that have given me the most trouble. I mean, the order of the top three figures has changed several times in the last couple of days, and even as I put the show together. And all these figures, if they're on their own in a particular week, would be number one, I think. The fact that they're all out at the same time just goes to show how strong a week it's been, and it's a really difficult choice between these three. However, number three, we have the first in a new range of Sassily Persian elephants from Aventine miniatures. Now, this particular model depicts a king riding an elephant. As you can see, it's beautifully detailed. It shows lots of character, and the elephant and its riders are in a really good set of dynamic poses. There have been some concerns raised about things like, for example, the saddle cloth on the elephant is just hanging straight down. There's no folds, no ripples in the cloth, that sort of thing. And whilst there has been a discussion about this online as to, if you're using heavy cloth, just how much of a ripple it would make, this is something that's a bit noticeable. I mean, the elephant is rearing up, so you'd expect there to be some sort of movement in the cloth. And that, to be a certain extent, is why I've marked it down just a little bit. Other than that, I think it's a really, really good model. And this week's number two is a new release from Perry Miniatures. While everybody seems to be talking about their new plastic heavy cavalry for French, and the latest 3-ups of their War of the Roses figures, both of which look really, really good. These are some of their new releases for their Sudan range, and these are the famous Bengal Lancers. Here we have a pack of troops and a command pack. And these are yet again a couple of classic sets of figures from the Perrys. Simply wonderful stuff. Which leads us on to number one, and it's back to elephants. And it's back to First Corps. 2 elephant releases in the same week. These elephants are from First Corps' successor range. We've seen that range featured quite a bit in previous shows, as I've been very impressed with both the command packs and the cavalry especially. And these are just a couple of great looking models. I've noticed that the Howder and the Rider are the same. We've just got a different elephant in these two shots. I just think these couple of models will make a fantastic centre point to your army. A couple of really good looking models. Been very, very impressed by these. So there you have it. My top 10 for this week. As I said, it's been really difficult as it's been a very, very good week for miniature releases generally. And we've seen a lot of high quality stuff here. Several figures that just didn't make the top 10. But I would have done on other weeks, as the standard this week has been very, very high. That's all from me from this week. I hope you've enjoyed the show and you've seen something that you like. All the rest of it to say is thank you very much for watching. Take care, happy gaming, have a good week. I'll speak to you soon. Bye.